So this is a video recording of Winona Waldron, and Winona is a past president of the GVTA, and today is November 5th, 2024, and we are doing this recording at the GVTA office on Dublin Road. So welcome, Winona.
Thanks.
Great. So if we could start off, if you can just tell us a little bit about your background, kind of leading up from your early days to how you became a teacher.
Sure. So I was born Sarah Winona Clark. Winona is a Sioux name, and my parents named me that in sort of like a recognition of my Indigenous ancestry, but there was not a lot of clarity around what that really meant, so they just wanted to recognize that. I was born in rural French New Brunswick on the East Coast. My dad's from Toronto and my mom's from Vancouver, but they met in Newfoundland and ended up as young, like they were teenagers, wanting to live on a backwoods maple sugar farm, and so that's where I was born. No running water or plumbing or anything like that. And we lived there off and on until I was about 10 years old. My mom got tired of that lifestyle. It's pretty hard, and moved back to Vancouver, and I moved back with her, and then kind of moved back and forth cross country a few times. Again, my parents were really young. And so lived in New Brunswick, Vancouver, White Rock, Surrey, Toronto, and sort of back and forth. Then.
So your schooling, like where'd you go
I
where'd you go to high
went
school?
to at least 3 different high schools.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I went to Earl Marriott Secondary. I went to George Bonner up in Mill Bay, and I graduated from Spectrum Community School, but I wasn't really living at home anymore when I graduated. Spectrum was just grade 11, 12. My parents moved around a lot. My dad had moved up to Chicotin by then, and I wanted to go to high school where there was a community and things to do, so was pretty much living on my own by grade 11.
Great. And so how did you end up getting into teaching?
What happened after? I guess I just worked for a year and traveled around myself, and then went to Camosun for a couple years, got interested in political science and philosophy, thought I was going to go to law school. That seemed to be the direction. Got into McGill University, went to McGill for a year, had a really great time in Montreal, kind of too good a time. Decided this was actually not that great a place to go to school. My mom had moved to Victoria by that point, and so I came back and moved in with her and did is that right? Came back from Montreal. Moved in with my mom and her husband, and finished my degree in political science and philosophy at UVic. Still thinking that probably law school was going to be the thing, but in the meantime, got married and was pregnant at the end of my degree, and so it kind of changes your philosophy, I think, having kids and what you want to do. And I was in a really terrible car accident partway through that led to some litigation that, when you're really in that litigation, you have to focus so much on the trauma over and over again. And I thought, I'm not sure if I really want to do that for my living. And so that, and getting pregnant with my son, both of those things sort of led to rethinking what I wanted to do with my career. And I looked at a few different options. I was working at the horse carriages, which I worked on and off at the horse carriages for about 10 years in Victoria. And I don't know who suggested going to school, but I got into the post-degree program at UVic to do my teaching degree, and it was really great. I guess by then I had 2 kids. Maddie was 2, and Keen was 4 when I went and did my teaching degree, which was really challenging. Lots of people doing their teaching degree were like just coming out of high school or doing the 5-year program, or like much younger. So, I felt very organized compared to them. I had children at home to deal with.
So you finished, and then you worked in souk to
I
start.
did, yeah. So I got hired right away in souk because I speak French.
Mhm.
And so they were happy to have me. And the way that the French school or the souk school district does their French is they let you teach French until you get a contract, and then you kind of like test for it. Whereas Victoria wasn't hiring anyone at the time. I'd applied, but I didn't hear back from Victoria, and then they had a position at Willows that they couldn't fill in French immersion, and so phoned me and asked me if I could pick up that position. I got hired to the district, I was put on their TTOC list, did one call out at Lambert Park, and the next day started at Willows teaching grade 1 in French immersion in the fall of 2010.
Wow.
And I've worked full time since then.
Great. And so tell us a little bit now about how you got involved in union work.
Yeah, so my first continuing contract was at Vic West Elementary, and Sue Brown was the staff rep there, and she was amazing. There was some really amazing staff at Vic West at the time. It was a really challenging school, but the staff was so connected, and a lot of that was, I thought, because of Sue and the way we had a series of not awesome principals, and she was great. And sort of that was my first real experience with that kind of having a staff rep like that. And then maybe I didn't have a continuing contract there. The next year I switched to Quadra, and they didn't have a staff rep, and I was like, oh, I can do that. And it just seemed like such a necessary job to have somebody there to make sure that the needs of the staff was getting spoken to, and that there was some sort of go-between, and somebody was attending the meetings. And so I started as the staff rep at Quadra, and one thing kind of leads to another with those things. Kept getting nominated from the floor to attend the AGM, and was like, no, why would I do that on my spring break? Why would I just like hang out with my family on spring break? But then you go once, and that was just such a part of my life.
Did you have any interaction with unions previously? Anyone in your family?
Oh, yeah.
Members?
Yeah, totally. My mom was a nurse, and not particularly involved with the nurses union, but certainly aware of the union, and I think attended union meeting, like she was involved to a certain extent. And my dad was a member of BCGU as well, and fairly involved with the NDP, though he's gone wildly conservative in his old age.
Wow, okay. So some exposure. So you knew what you were getting into a bit, yeah.
A little bit, yeah. Neither of them held positions in the unions, but both, it felt like a union household. Like they were both thankful for union jobs.